I found out my sister has been telling people I'm adopted and I'm not. On Memorial Day, my 8-year-old nephew asked me, "Aunt Kayla, is it true you're adopted?" He was holding a red plastic cup of lemonade with both hands, like it was heavy. His eyes looked worried, not curious, like he thought he'd uncovered a family secret. I didn't shout. I didn't ask, "Who told you that?" in a scary voice. I didn't make him feel like he messed up. I made one small change. I opened a note on my phone called Timeline, and I typed his sentence word for word. Because in that moment, I realized the lie had spread so far, my kid believed it was fact. My name is Kyla. I'm 28. I live in a Chicago suburb where everyone debates parking like it's politics, and every holiday turns into a potluck plus an argument. My sister, Brianna, is 31. I'm going to call her Bree. Bree is the type of person who can be the life of the party. And the reason the party ends early, my parents are still married. My dad is quiet and steady. My mom is a fixer. The kind of mom who thinks every uncomfortable thing can be smoothed over with food. And for most of my life, that worked. Until Bri started rewriting me. The Memorial Day cookout was at my parents' house. White folding tables, hot dogs, my dad guarding the grill like it was a sacred duty. I was carrying a tray of fruit to the table when my nephew asked me that question. "Aunt Kayla, is it true you're adopted?" I crouched down so I was eye level. "Hey," I said gently. "No, I'm not adopted. Why would you think that?" He shrugged in that kid way like he didn't want to snitch. "Mom said Aunt Bri said it," he whispered. My stomach went cold. Because it wasn't the first time I'd heard that word attached to me. It just used to be lighter. A joke. 2 years earlier, at my cousin's wedding, a distant aunt I barely knew hugged me and said, "I just think it's so beautiful your parents took you in." I remember laughing, awkward. "What?" I said. "No, I'm..." She patted my arm like I was embarrassed. "Oh, honey," she said, "you don't have to explain." I stood there holding my drink thinking, what is happening right now? I asked my mom that night on the drive home, "Why would Aunt Teresa think I'm adopted?" My mom frowned. "I don't know," she said. "People get confused." Confused? About what? Then Bree, sitting in the back seat, laughed. "Maybe because you don't look like Mom," she said. My mom shot her a warning look. Bree held up her hands like she was innocent. "What?" she said. "It's not a big deal." "It's not a big deal." That's Bri's favorite phrase when she wants to throw a pebble and watch the ripples. At the Memorial Day cookout, I didn't confront her in front of my nephew. I just stood up, smoothed my shorts, and walked toward the adults. Bree was by the patio, loud laugh, phone in hand. She looked relaxed, like she wasn't living inside the consequences of what she'd been saying. I waited until she was alone for a second. "Bree," I said calmly, "are you telling people I'm adopted?" She blinked like she couldn't believe I was bringing it up. Then she smiled. "Oh my God," she said, "it's a joke." I stared at her. "A joke that my 8-year-old nephew believes," I said. Bree rolled her eyes. "Kids repeat stuff," she said. "Relax. Relax." I looked past her and saw my mom watching us from the kitchen window. I could tell by her face she wanted me to stop. Not because it wasn't wrong, because it was uncomfortable. And that's when I realized something. This lie had been allowed to live because nobody wanted a scene. So I made another small change. I stopped trying to win with emotion. And I started collecting facts. That night, after I got home, I opened my laptop and searched my name in Bree's social circle. Not in a paranoid way. In a what am I missing way. I found nothing at first. Then I remembered something. Bri loves group chats. So I checked the one place I had access to without snooping. Our family group thread. I searched one word. Adopted. And my stomach dropped. Because there it was, months ago, in a thread about a genetics test my cousin had taken. Group chat, Oct 12, 9:26 p.m. Bri, Kayla should do one. Would be interesting. Since she's adopted. My hands went numb. My mom replied right after, with a laughing emoji. Mom, Oct 12, 9:27 p.m. Bri, stop. Stop? Not. That's false. Not, don't say that. Just stop. Like it was teasing. Then my dad replied. Dad, Oct 12, 9:30 p.m. Not funny. And Bri responded. Bri, Oct 12, 9:31 p.m. It's a joke, everyone chill. I took screenshots. All of it. And I added it to timeline. Because now I had a date. Our record. And a pattern. Then I saw something that made my stomach flip again. A message from Bri to my mom, private, but she'd accidentally sent it to the group. Bri, Mar 3, 6:14 p.m. If Kayla starts asking questions, just say you don't remember. Don't make it dramatic. If Kayla starts asking questions, meaning she knew it wasn't harmless. She knew she'd planted something. And she was coaching my mom on how to deny it. That's when my hand started shaking, not from fear, from clarity. Because the question wasn't, is my sister joking? The question was, why does she want people to believe I don't belong? And I had a bad feeling the answer was going to be uglier than sibling humor. The next week, I tried to live like normal. Work, gym, grocery run. But once you know people are repeating a lie about you, you start hearing it everywhere. Not directly. Sideways. A coworker in the break room asked me, casual, "So, do you know your birth parents at all, or?" I blinked. "What?" I said. He looked embarrassed. "Oh," he said. I thought, never mind. My stomach dropped. Because I hadn't told anyone at work anything like that. And I'm private. I don't overshare at work. Which meant the lie had jumped circles. It wasn't just family gossip anymore. It was social network gossip. That night, I texted my friend Talia, who has been my friend since high school, the kind of friend who tells you the truth without being cruel. Me, 8:41 p.m. Random question. Has Bree ever told people I'm adopted? Talia didn't respond for 10 minutes. Then she sent one line. Talia, 8:52 p.m. Kayla, yes, I thought you knew. My stomach turned. I called her immediately. Talia answered with a sigh. I didn't know how to bring it up, she said. Bry's been saying it for years, like, since after college. Since after college. I sat on my couch staring at the wall. Why would she say that? I asked. Talia paused. Then she said, she usually says it when she's mad at you, or when someone compliments you. When someone compliments me, that sentence hit like a punch. Because I could suddenly remember moments that never made sense. A birthday party where someone told me I looked like my mom, and Bree laughed too loud. A family reunion where my grandma said I had my dad's eyes, and Bree got quiet. A time my aunt told Bree, Kayla's so responsible, and Bri replied, well, she had to be, you know. Adopted kids are grateful. Adopted kids are grateful. I'd laughed it off at the time, because it sounded ridiculous. But now it sounded like a script. I opened timeline and typed. Coworker comment, evidence lie reached workplace. Talia confirms Bree has said it for years. Then I made a decision. I wasn't going to scream at Bree. I wasn't going to beg my mom to fix it. I was going to get proof so solid nobody could twist it. So I ordered 2 things. 1, a certified copy of my birth certificate from the county. 2, a DNA test kit. Not because I should have to, because I wanted the lie dead in the ground. While I waited, the lie kept moving. A week later, my mom invited me to brunch. Just me and her. That's how I knew she wanted to control the narrative. She sat across from me in a booth, stirring her coffee like the spoon was calming her. Bri didn't mean anything, she said. I kept my voice quiet. Mom, I said, people at my job think I'm adopted. My mom's face tightened. How would they? She started. Then she stopped because she realized the answer. Bri, my mom Sahil. Your sister has a sense of humor, she said. Sense of humor. I leaned forward. Mom, I said, do you realize what she's doing? She's telling people I'm not really yours. My mom's eyes got glossy. I know, she whispered. I don't want a family war. There it was. My mom's core fear. Not the lie. The conflict. So I said something I'd never said to my mother in my life. If you don't correct it, I said, you're participating. My mom flinched. I hated saying it. But it was true. My mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Okay, she said quietly, what do you want me to do? I took a breath. I want you to tell people the truth when it comes up, I said. And I want you to tell Bree to stop. Not stop joking. Stop lying. My mom nodded. Then she did what she always does. She tried to soften it. I'll talk to her, she said. Gently. Gently. I didn't argue. Because I was done negotiating. 2 days later, I got a text from my Aunt Teresa. Aunt Teresa, 7:16 p.m. Sweetie, your mom said you're upset about the adoption talk. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. My chest went tight. Because my mom had corrected it by not correcting it. She framed it as adoption talk, not false rumor. She protected Bri's comfort again. And the lie stayed alive. I replied, me, 7:19 p.m. Aunt Teresa, I'm not adopted. Bri made it up. Please don't repeat it. Aunt Teresa responded fast. Aunt Teresa, 7:21 p.m. Oh my gosh, are you sure? Bree sounded very confident. Very confident. That's the problem with confident liars. They sound like authority. That night, the birth certificate arrived in my email portal as a preview notification. County portal. Record ready for download. My hands shook as I logged in. I opened it. My name. My mom's name. My dad's name. Official. Boring. Perfect. I stared at the PDF until my eyes burned. Then I saved it, printed it, and put it in a folder. And I added one more line to timeline. Birth certificate obtained, date, county record. The DNA kit arrived 2 days later. I swabbed my cheek, sealed the envelope, and dropped it in the mailbox. And as I let the little metal door click shut, I thought, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to prove my identity because my sister wants attention. But if she wanted a storyline, I was about to end it with receipts. The DNA results took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of my phone buzzing with little side comments and awkward conversations. It's hard to explain how humiliating it is to be treated like a rumor. Not hated. Not even confronted. Just discussed. Like your life is a topic. During that time, Bree acted like nothing was happening. She posted selfies. She shared memes. She commented, "Love you sis," under my Instagram photos. And the contrast made me feel dizzy. Because she could be sweet in public and cruel in private and call it a joke either way. Then the first real receipt landed in my lap. Not from my parents. Not from Talia. From Bree's boyfriend. His name was Mason. I'd met him twice. Nice enough. Quiet. The kind of guy who keeps his opinions locked up. He DM'd me on Instagram at 10:06 p.m. DM, 10:06 p.m. Mason, "Hey Kayla, I'm sorry to message you out of nowhere. Quick question. Bree told my mom you were adopted and it's sensitive for my family. Is that true?" My chest went tight. Because now I understood the scale. She wasn't just saying it at parties. She was telling partners' families. She was planting it in places where it would feel official. I replied carefully. Me, 10:09 p.m. It's not true. I'm not adopted. I'm handling it, but thank you for asking me directly. Mason replied. Mason, 10:10 p.m. I'm really sorry, I didn't want to bring drama, I didn't know. I stared at his message and felt something new. Not just betrayal. Disgust. Because she'd used my identity like a prop to manage other people's emotions. I screenshot the DM and added it to timeline. Then I did something I'd avoided. I called my dad. My dad answered like he always does, calm. "Hey kiddo," he said. I swallowed. "Dad," I said, "Bri told Mason's mom I'm adopted. Now strangers are asking me if it's true." My dad went quiet. Then he said, "Lo, this ends now." That sentence was like hearing thunder after weeks of humidity. Because my dad doesn't talk big. He acts. He said, "Come over tomorrow, I'm calling a family meeting." A family meeting? My mom hates family meetings. Bree hates consequences. So I knew it was going to be ugly. The next day, I drove to my parents' house with a folder on my passenger seat. Birth certificate. Screenshots. Group chat receipts. Mason's DM. It felt dramatic. But it also felt safe. Like armor. My mom met me at the door, face tense. "Please don't attack her," she whispered. I stared at my mom. "I'm not attacking," I said quietly. "I'm correcting." Inside, my dad had set the dining table like we were doing taxes. Water glasses. Paper. A pen. Bree arrived 15 minutes late, like she wanted to prove she controlled the timeline. She walked in smiling. "Why are we being so serious?" she laughed. My dad didn't smile. "Sit," he said. Bri's smile faltered. She sat, crossing her legs, looking at me like I was being dramatic. My dad spoke first. "Bree," he said, "you have been telling people Kayla is adopted." Bri rolled her eyes instantly. "Oh my God," she said. "Here we go." My mom jumped in, soft voice. "She's been upset," Mom said. Bri looked at me and sighed like I was exhausting. "It was a joke," Bree said. "People are so sensitive now." My dad's voice stayed flat. "It's not a joke," he said. "It's a lie." Bree laughed again, sharper. "Okay," she said. "So I lied? Big deal. Big deal." I opened my folder and slid one page across the table. The group chat screenshot. Then another. Mason's DM. Bri's eyes flicked down. For a second, she looked caught. Then she did what Bree always does. She attacked the method. "You've been screenshotting me," she snapped. "That's weird." My dad leaned forward. "What's weird," he said, "is you telling people your sister isn't your sister." Bri's face flushed. Then she said the sentence that told me everything. "People like her more," she said. Silence. Even my mom froze. Bri's voice rose as she talked faster, like anger was giving her courage. "Kayla walks into a room and everyone thinks she's sweet," Bree said. "She's the favorite. She's the good one. And I'm the loud one." I stared at her. Because I'd never asked to be anyone's favorite. I just tried to be peaceful. My dad said, "This is jealousy." Bri snapped, "No, it's fairness." Fairness. As if lying about me was balance. I took a breath and said, very calmly, "I have my birth certificate." Bree scoffed. "As if that proves anything," she said. I blinked. Then I said, "Okay, then we wait for the DNA results, and until then, you stop saying it." Bri leaned back, smiling like she'd found a loophole. "Fine," she said. "I'll stop saying it, but everyone already knows. Everyone already knows." And that line hit me harder than the lie itself. Because it meant she'd enjoyed spreading it. My dad stood up. "Bree," he said. "You owe your sister an apology." Bree looked at my mom. My mom's eyes begged her to cooperate. Bri looked back at me. Then she said, I'm sorry you can't take a joke. I felt something in me go quiet. Because that wasn't an apology. That was a warning. She wasn't going to stop because she understood. She was going to stop only if she was forced. And I was done waiting for her to develop empathy. So, I stood up, picked up my folder, and said the boundary out loud. If you say it again, I said calmly, I'm done. No holidays, no visits, no access to my life. Bree laughed. Sure, she said, you'll be back. And as I walked out of my parents' house, I realized she truly believed I'd always return. Which meant the next step wasn't proving the truth. The next step was proving I meant my boundaries. A week later, my DNA results came in. I got the email while I was in a Target parking lot, sitting in my car with the AC running. Email subject, your results are ready. My hands shook when I tapped it. Not because I doubted who I was. Because I hated that this had become necessary. The results loaded. Parent-child match. My mother. My father. Clear. Undeniable. Boring. Perfect. I stared at it for a long time. Then I took screenshots. And I emailed them to myself, my dad, and my mom. Subject line. Results. No commentary. Because facts speak louder when you don't decorate them. My dad replied with one sentence. Dad. Thank you. We're handling this. Handling this. Finally, the right person was handling it. My mom didn't reply for 3 hours. Then she sent, Mom, I'm sorry you had to do that. I stared at her message. It wasn't, I'm sorry I didn't protect you. It wasn't, I'm sorry I laughed at a lie. But it was closer than nothing. That weekend, my parents hosted another cookout. Not a holiday. Not a birthday. A targeted event. Because my dad wanted witnesses. He wanted the lie corrected in the same rooms where it had been planted. I arrived with my folder again, even though now it felt like carrying a fire extinguisher to a house that still smelled like smoke. Bri showed up late again. Of course she did. When she walked in, she acted sweet. Hey sis, she said, hugging me a little too hard. I didn't hug back the same way. Not rude. Just not participating. My dad clinked a glass like he was making a toast. He said, family, quick thing. People turned. My mom looked like she wanted to disappear. Bri's smile froze. My dad continued, steady. There's been a rumor going around, he said, that Kayla is adopted. My stomach tightened even though I knew this was coming. Because having your identity discussed publicly is still humiliating, even when you're right. My dad said, it's not true. It was a lie. Kayla is our biological daughter. Then he looked right at Bree. And it needs to stop, he said. The silence was loud. Someone coughed. My Aunt Teresa said, oh my gosh, and covered her mouth. My cousin muttered, that's insane. Bree laughed, high and fake. Wow, she said. Dad, you're really doing this. My dad didn't flinch. Yes, he said, I am. Bri turned to me like she wanted me to rescue her. Like I'd always done. I didn't. She snapped. So you got a DNA test. Congratulations, you won. Won. She still framed it as a competition. I kept my voice calm. This isn't a game, I said. It's my name. Bree rolled her eyes and walked to the cooler, acting like she didn't care. But I watched her hands. They shook. Not from guilt. From rage. And I knew this wasn't over. Because people like Bree don't stop when you prove them wrong. They stop when their audience stops clapping. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize. Text, 9:33 p.m. Hey, Kayla, it's Jenna, Mason's sister. Bri told us you faked the DNA test. Just wanted to clear it up. Faked the DNA test. I stared at the text until my eyes burned. Because Bree had already pivoted. She couldn't keep the adoption lie, so she upgraded to a new one. That I was deceitful. That I was manipulative. That I was the kind of person who fakes reality. I replied with one clean line. Me, 9:36 p.m. I didn't fake anything. Bree has been lying. I'm not discussing it further. Then I added Jenna's text to timeline. Because I wasn't going back to chaos without documentation. The next day, my mom called me crying. Not quiet tears. Loud, overwhelmed. Bri is furious, she said. She says you humiliated her. She says you turned everyone against her. I felt tired down to my bones. Mom, I said. She turned people against me with a lie. My mom sniffed. I know, she whispered. I know. Then she said the line that told me she was still trying to fix Bri's feelings first. She's struggling, my mom said. Can you just be gentle? Be gentle. I took a breath. I have been gentle for years, I said, and it trained her that she can do anything to me. My mom went quiet. Then she said, small, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to stop excusing it, and I want you to set a rule. If she lies about me again, she leaves, even if it's awkward. My mom whispered, okay. 2 days later, my dad called. His voice was serious. Bree is coming over tonight, he said. She's bringing Mason. Mason! My stomach dropped. Because I could already guess what the play was. She was going to try to put on a performance in front of a witness. A new audience. And I knew, if I didn't show up calm and prepared, she'd rewrite me again. So I did what I'd been doing all month. I printed everything. Birth certificate, DNA results, group chat screenshots, Mason's DM, Jenna's text, and I put them in one clean folder. Not to be dramatic. To be unmovable. Because tonight, Bri wasn't just going to deny the lie. She was going to deny the damage. And I was done letting her. That night, I walked into my parents' living room and saw Bri sitting on the couch with Mason. She looked calm. Too calm. Mason looked uncomfortable, like he'd been recruited into something he didn't understand. My mom sat in the armchair, hands clasped. My dad stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. I sat down at the dining table and placed my folder in front of me. Bri smiled. "Wow," she said. "The binder." I didn't respond. My dad spoke first. "Bri," he said, "you're going to apologize to your sister." Bri sighed like she was being asked to do chores. "I already said sorry," she said. My dad shook his head. "No," he said. "You said she can't take a joke." Bri rolled her eyes and looked at Mason. "See what I deal with," she said, laughing. Mason didn't laugh. He just looked at me, quietly. And I could tell he was trying to decide who was telling the truth. So I helped him. Not with emotion. With facts. I opened the folder and slid one page across the table toward him. It was his own DM. DM, 10:06 p.m., Mason. "Bri told my mom you were adopted. Is that true?" Mason's face changed when he saw it. Because it wasn't vague anymore. It was written. Bri's smile dropped. "Why are you showing him that?" she snapped. I kept my voice calm. "Because you brought him here," I said. "You wanted an audience." Bri stood up. "I didn't lie," she said loud. "It was a family story. People assumed. I didn't correct it." My dad's voice cut through the room, steady. "You started it," he said. "You typed it. In the group chat. We saw it." Bri's eyes flashed. Then she turned to my mom, voice cracking. "You always loved her more," Bri said. My mom flinched. "I love you both," she whispered. Bri laughed bitterly. "No," she said. "You love her because she's easy. She makes you look like a perfect mom." I sat still. Because this was the part Bri wanted. For me to jump in and defend myself, so she could say I was dramatic. So I didn't. My dad said, "This isn't about favorites. This is about a lie that harmed your sister." Bri pointed at me. "She thinks she's so innocent," Bri snapped. "Like she's never made me feel small." My chest tightened. Because I knew this was going to turn into a list of feelings. And feelings are endless. So I did the cleanest thing. I took out the DNA results printout and placed it on the table. Then the birth certificate. Then the screenshot of her coaching my mom. Bri, Mar 3, 6:14 p.m. If Kayla starts asking questions, say you don't remember. Then I placed Jenna's text. Jenna, 9:33 p.m. Bri told us you faked the DNA test. I looked at Bri and said, quietly, "Even when I proved you wrong, you kept going." Bri's mouth opened, then closed. Mason stared at the papers, then looked up at Bri. He said softly, "Bri, why would you do this?" Bri's eyes filled with tears instantly. Not gentle tears. Angry tears. She said, "Because she gets everything." Mason shook his head. "No," he said, "she got lied about." Bri turned on him. "Don't take her side," she hissed. Mason stood up. "I'm not taking sides," he said. "I'm looking at evidence." Evidence. That word landed like a door locking. Because Bri couldn't charm her way around receipts. Bri grabbed her bag. "I can't be in this toxic family," she cried. My mom started to stand. My dad held up a hand gently. "No," he said. "Bri sits and takes responsibility or Bri leaves." Bri froze, like she couldn't believe he'd said no. My mom whispered, "Bri, please." And Bri did something I didn't expect. She looked at me. Not with rage. With something like fear. She said, quietly, "I didn't think you'd actually make it a big deal." And there it was. The truth. She never thought I'd fight for myself. I took a breath. "I'm not making it a big deal," I said. "It is a big deal." Bri's voice broke. She started. Then she stopped. And for a second, the room was still. Then my dad said, "Apologize." Bri swallowed hard. She looked at me. And finally, she said something close to an apology. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have spread it. It wasn't perfect. But it was real." Then I said, "My boundary." "Thank you," I said. "Now here's what happens next." Bri blinked like she didn't expect terms. I continued, calm. "You don't talk about my identity to anyone again," I said. "You don't tell people stories about me," I said. "And if I hear you did, we're done. I'm not threatening you. I'm protecting myself." Bri nodded slowly. Mason exhaled like he'd been holding his breath. My mom cried quietly. My dad nodded once, like he was proud and sad at the same time. Final update. It's been 10 months. Bree and I are not close. We're polite at family events. We do not do deep conversations. My mom no longer tries to smooth it over. If someone brings up the adoption rumor, she corrects it immediately. My dad does too. And the lie died. Not because Bree suddenly became kind, because the family finally stopped rewarding her with silence. And the biggest change is simple. Kids don't ask me if I'm adopted anymore. They ask me normal kid questions. Like what kind of chips I brought. That's what peace looks like. Boring. True. Protected. Here's what we learned from this one. First, a lie doesn't stay a joke when it spreads into schools, jobs, and kids' minds. At that point, it's harm. Second, if someone keeps rewriting you, stop arguing and start documenting. Dates, screenshots, exact quotes. Facts don't get tired the way emotions do. Third, family peace that requires your silence isn't peace. It's permission. Fourth, boundaries aren't cruelty. They're clarity. And last, if your identity becomes a rumor, you're allowed to shut it down publicly, the same way it was planted publicly. If you like calm, realistic, long story times with receipts, clear timelines, and real closure, subscribe to the channel. That's what we do here.